This is the news leader, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
And at 6 o'clock, good evening to you. I'm Liz Chow.
And I'm Bill Ritter. We begin tonight with an Eyewitness News exclusive. This is a 4-month investigation that reaches from the sands of Iraq all the way to the halls of the Pentagon. And what we found is that the weapons given to tens of thousands of U.S. soldiers may not work in the desert. And it's all because of a defective product, and it could be putting American troops at risk. The investigators, Jim Hoffer, here now with his exclusive findings. Jim?
Well, Bill and Liz, the key to surviving any war is to have a weapon that works. To that end, a good, reliable gun lubricant is critical. But our investigation has found that a lubricant supplied by the military may actually be causing guns to jam. What's worse, soldiers say they were blocked from getting a better lubricant at a time when they needed it the most. A Purple Heart does little to heal the aching heart of a mother who lost her son to war.
He was conscientious about everything.
Sergeant Donald Walters was in the same convoy as Private Jessica Lynch when Iraqis ambushed it, killing Walters and 10 other soldiers. This Pentagon report on the attack shows that many of the soldiers could barely fight back because of multiple weapons malfunctions.
When we were told to lock and load, that's when my weapon jammed.
The report suggests their weapons failed perhaps because of inadequate individual maintenance. In other words, the Army says that the soldiers may have neglected to clean their guns.
That shouldn't happen to everybody. It seems like it's a fault of something they are using, not the fault of the soldier that he didn't clean the gun.
They would stop and jam.
A retired lieutenant colonel who trained thousands of soldiers for the Iraqi invasion says this grieving mother's suspicions are right on target.
Those weapons, if properly lubricated, will work better than anybody else's. But they have to be properly lubricated. CLP is not the proper lubrication.
Colonel Kovacic contacted Eyewitness News, outraged that the military was equipping soldiers with a government-issued lubricant known as CLP.
It didn't work when I was a battalion commander, and it's not working now.
Eyewitness News obtained a copy of a General's Lessons Learned report, which details weapons performance in Iraq. The report says soldiers repeatedly stated that CLP was not a good choice for weapons maintenance, claiming it attracted sand to the weapon. We heard similar complaints about the lubricant from some New Jersey Marine reservists back from Iraq.
I used as little as possible.
You used it as little as possible. Why?
Because the CLP attracted the sand. It made the sand stick to the weapon and clot up, causing the weapon to jam.
In telephone conversations and emails, we heard from many soldiers with complaints about CLP. One sergeant telling me it is common knowledge that the military-issued gun lubricant doesn't work in the desert. We learned that some soldiers are so desperate to get a lubricant that does work that they're writing to their families for help.
Dad, that Militec is working great.
Art Couchman sent his son, a soldier in Iraq, a commercial lubricant called Militec. A firearms trainer for police in New York, he became quite concerned when his son told him that the military-issued lubricant attracted dirt and sand to his gun. That's when Couchman sent him bottles of Militec.
The results are awesome.
In a recent letter, his son thanks his dad for the shipment of Militec, calling the lube pretty amazing stuff.
I think it could probably save some lives if they had more of the stuff.
Even that lessons learned report put out by the Pentagon states that soldiers considered Militec to be a much better solution for lubricating weapons than the military's CLP. And now many are questioning why, just as the war began, the military canceled all troop orders for Militec.
They were unable to get the product after the orders were canceled.
The commercial lubricants inventor says he knows why. Because the military invested millions of dollars developing CLP, Brad Giordani says Army bureaucrats feared their product would be outshined. What we have here is well over $100,000 in orders. What happened to them?
Well, they were canceled by civilians within the Defense Department that realized our orders were getting to be to such large quantities that if they would have allowed these orders to go through, we would now be the standard lubricant within the Army.
The Army declined an interview, but in a statement to us admits that in the middle of the war, it stopped filling orders for Militec. It doesn't explain why. The Army says Militec is now available and further states that because of mixed reports on the performance of lubricants, it plans to rapidly evaluate and test various products for possible future use.
And the stuff worked in combat.
Colonel Kovacic says Militec is already proven in desert combat, and as long as CLP remains the government product of choice, he says, then that's what most troops will get, leaving the better lube on the shelf and soldiers' lives on the line.
There's a better product. I say we give the kids the best we can give them. And I'm telling you, CLP is not the best weapons lubricant. They even said that in the report.
For nearly 7 months, the military blocked soldiers' orders for the rival Militec. Only in October, in the middle of our investigation, did the Army again begin to fill orders for Militec. Now, if you have a problem that you want investigated, call our tip line at 877-TIP-NEWS. You can also email us at the.investigators@abc.com, also at 7online.com.
So the military never tested CLP.
Well, they tested it. They did test it in the lab quite extensively, but from what we're told from soldiers, they believe it was never tested out in the field. Yeah. And they say the best test is the desert. And so far, CLP hasn't performed well there. Militec has.
Great story, Jim.
Thanks a lot, Jim. We appreciate it.
This is the news leader, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Wow. Shannon, thank you. Tonight, lawmakers on Capitol Hill are vowing to find out why the military is issuing a gun lubricant many soldiers claim causes their weapons to jam and endangers their lives. It is a problem Eyewitness News first told you about a few weeks ago. The investigators' Jim Hoffer broke the story, and he joins us now with more on what is being done to fix the problem. Jim.
Well, Bill and Liz, one lawmaker is calling for public hearings after seeing our investigation, and a U.S. senator is demanding answers from the Pentagon. They want to know why. Why, as we first reported, soldiers were blocked from getting rival weapons lubricant when the Army's own reports suggest growing problems with the military-issued gun lube. Since the beginning of the Iraqi invasion, U.S. soldiers have struggled to keep their guns from jamming. Our investigation found part of the problem could be the military-issued lubricant. This internal Army report claims soldiers found that the Army's lubricant was not a good choice for weapons maintenance, claiming it attracted sand to the guns.
If you keep the sand out of it, you're good to go.
And the one way to keep it out is to not use the lubricant.
Correct, correct.
It's extremely troubling.
After seeing our report, New York's senior senator fired off this letter to a Pentagon general, demanding to know why it continues to issue a lubricant that may be causing soldiers' guns to jam.
The fact that it may have been this lubricant, which the armed forces stubbornly clings to when there's a better product available, is really troubling because it's not just pride, it's life, it's loss of life.
Our investigation revealed that just days into the war, the military canceled over $117,000 in troop orders for a rival gun lubricant called Militec. This is dozens of orders for your product.
Orders from units in the field that were getting ready to go to war and felt that they needed this to do their job, and they were denied them at the last minute.
For 7 months, the military blocked all orders for Militec, leaving soldiers to buy it on their own or ask their families to ship it to them. That's what this New York father had to do.
The soldiers over there are saying this is a good product, and it's been battle proven. Why not make it easier for them to get this product?
Long Island Congressman Steve Israel, a member of the Armed Services Committee, is calling for hearings to determine whether an ineffective gun lubricant was given to American troops.
We need to ask how this happened, why it happened, and more importantly, how we're going to stop it from happening ever again.
The Army says Militec is again available to troops. In a statement to Eyewitness News, the Army says that because of mixed reports on the performance of lubricants, it plans to rapidly evaluate and test various products for possible future use.
What seems to be missing here is leadership.
A watchdog group that's done its own military investigations says public pressure is the only way to get the military to make changes.
They've never been able to really recognize a mistake and fix it internally. It always seems to take pressure from the outside.
Change could already be happening in response to our investigation. We've learned now that the chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Richard Myers, has begun an investigation into this military-issued lubricant and what role it might have in the rash of weapons jammings. We can also say, Bill and Liz, that it could be that the Joint Chiefs will have some answers to all this as early as next month.
Yeah, one wonders also whether anything would have been done if you hadn't investigated it.
Well, that's what that watchdog group spokesperson says. She says you got to shine light on the problem for the military to get anything done.
Good thing they're doing something now.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jim.
Good job, Jim.